Well, it's the day after my first COVID vaccination shot. Got the Pfizer at the fairgrounds yesterday. It's March 6, 2021, a Saturday morning. Plan on getting in 7 miles. Have to say that the vaccination center at the Kern County Fairgrounds, as I said yesterday, went by so quickly. Basically just get out of the car, walk through, tell them my name, and then just get told to go to a number. Got the shot. Took less time. It almost just was like a drive-through quickly. And other people I know felt a little off the days after. So far, I feel pretty good. I have some friends, ultra buddies, guys in their 70s who went off and tried to do races right after the vaccination and have had some issues. My wife's felt a little tired the past couple days. But so far, and of course the routine is get out and do it. So I'm out and doing it. Also decided I need to really up my mileage. Been almost a year since my nasty fall, my first injury in 40 years. Time to ramp back the mileage. Only been doing 50, 60 miles lately. I used to do 100-mile weeks since 2011 for years and years. I don't know if I'll go that far, but I definitely need to pick up the miles. Just something I need to do for my head and keeps the weight down. I'm already too big. Been watching replays of the 2016 Brazil Olympics and the marathon, that is. And, I just got to say, Galen Rupp just ran phenomenal. I mean, when you consider how difficult the conditions were and how amazing the competition is, to get third place in that race was pretty impressive. He doesn't get the respect he deserves. Partly I think it's, his Alberto Salazar connection, which is neither here nor there. I mean, plenty of these other athletes have iffy coaches. And also, he ran the 10K earlier in the Olympics and still went out there and had a great performance. Really enjoyed watching that. Watching the women's race, which I also never watched back then. And still got maybe 10 miles to go on it. And one of the takeaways from that was definitely different conditions. Bright sunny day in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Definitely had to be tough. The American women looking good. It's interesting, I've noticed this in the past. The East African women always tend to run with their arms way up high. And you'll look at it and you'll see the Americans and the European women, and their arms are more down low by their hips. But the East Africans tend to run with their arms carriage high. And I've always wondered, it's interesting that, it's Kenyans and Ethiopians and other countries run that style. Probably about the only thing that's kind of interesting too that I've noticed so far. One, there's twins from Korea and triplets from some Eastern European country. And so it's definitely family runs deep in the race, especially in the women's race. The thing I don't really understand is Desi Linden. She's in the pack. She falls off the pack, 50, 70, 80 yards. Then she comes back up to the pack, but instead of just tucking into the pack, she jumps into the front. And she does this several times. Now, I haven't watched the entire video. I sort of know the results, but I purposely haven't Googled them. It's kind of my own version of the rewatchables. Actually, it's my first time to watch. But I was kind of wondering, what in the world she's doing there. Definitely have to Google it and find out what was going on in her head about falling off, coming back up, falling off, coming back up, and why in the world she'd be pushing the pace in such conditions with the amazing athletes that are in the race. Of course, she did win Boston in terrible conditions. That was pouring down freezing cold rain. Only 3 miles into my 7-mile walk this morning, and may all just be in my head, but like my friends who had the shot saying they definitely feel its effects. My pace is off by a good 30, 40 seconds a mile. Just feel kind of like I had a hard workout yesterday, which I didn't, so oh well. Just listen to some podcasts as I'm walking. Listen to this COVID-19 podcast put on by the 538 guys, political podcast, and they were talking about, the COVID-19 and the vaccinations and what to expect. They're saying how the 3 vaccinations now have eliminated hospitalizations and deaths, said 100%. And they were basically saying how, one of the reasons things have been so hard on us is because none of us were exposed to it as kids. It's a new, novel one. They're saying in the 1890s there was this thing called like the Russian flu that really devastated older people, because basically these flus and common colds, these viruses, you usually get them when you're a kid, and then you're kind of protected the rest of your life via herd immunity and just your immune system. One thing they didn't talk about was how kids are immune to these things. I guess it's because, the small children, their bodies are growing and developing so rapidly. They have really good immune systems, obviously, because they come, fresh and then get exposed to stuff. And it kind of goes hand in hand that nowadays when people are raising their children in plastic bubbles, it's not a good idea. I think that's one of the reasons why so many people have so many ailments. Let your kids be outdoors, eat dirt and all that kind of thing. They're also talking about when will things get back to normal. They said that if 2 people are vaccinated, they definitely can hang out together, hug each other, and the risk to them is very, very minimal. They said if one of you is vaccinated and the other isn't, it would be better that the person who's more vulnerable was the vaccination, but that you could kind of go on with regular life. And so that means, if you're the older person or the person with health issues, you should be vaccinated, and the other person if only one of you is vaccinated. So grandpa, grandma should be vaccinated, and the kids, if they're not vaccinated, can probably hug out grandpa and grandma. I have some friends who have gotten the vaccination, unfortunately can't talk their older parents in their 70s and 80s, into getting the vaccination, which is just crazy. I'm like, they got the measles and the polio and all that. So that was of interest. So a good podcast. I'll try to remember to put it into the show notes later when I get home. Hopefully we'll get this workout done. Beautiful sunny day here in Bakersfield, California. I'm training for a 25K trail race at the end of April, but they're talking about not having it, which just seems, we've had a few races, but by April things should be up going well. And what's even weirder is it's on private property, and that's pretty much the only place races have been going on in California is private property. So hopefully that happens. And as always, stay healthy, be boring, not epic.